a movie I've heard of, Guns and Moses. How
Yes,
are you,
sir.
Sal? It's theaters nationwide, July 18th. I appreciate you coming by.
It's great to be with you. We're very excited.
How did this come into being? How did you come up with this name?
So, Guns and Moses. It's a thriller. It's an exciting action thriller about a rabbi, beloved rabbi in a small town in the high desert, who becomes an unlikely gunfighter and detective after his community is violently attacked. It was inspired by a real life. Hold on a second. I think it's the wrong cam. No, it's the right camera.
You're
It was inspired by a real life event. There was a shooting at a synagogue in Poway, California. At a Chabad synagogue, a guy came in with a gun, killed a woman named Laura Gilbert Kay, shot the fingers off the rabbi who tried to stop him, and miraculously the gun jammed, or there would have been greater tragedy. I went down the next day. I attended the funeral. I met the rabbi. I held his bandaged hands and watched him become a national figure in the following week, calling on people to do something good, something holy and righteous, to give meaning to this tragedy. And I knew that that would be, somehow at the core of our movie. It's not. It's inspired by that story. It's not that story, but that was the genesis of it. And then one other aspect of it was, I passed many times. If you drive from Los Angeles to Las Vegas, this massive solar energy farm, not the usual kind that you see with you know solar cells, those long black planes of photocells, but a thermal solar energy field, which is based on mirrors. And it's such an unusual looking thing. And I thought that would be an amazing location for a cat and mouse scene in a movie. So I sort of had that idea before we had a movie to put it in. And these are the elements that came together for Guns and Moses.
You really wanted to do something that would bring light a little bit, but be really funny at the same time.
I mean, it's not a comedy; it's an exciting thriller.
Mhm.
And people ask me that because Guns and Moses, it's a pretty bold title.
Yeah.
Uh,
So there's no comedy in part of it a little
oh,
bit.
there's humor. There's
That's
definitely
right. So this
humor.
is not comedy, but that's where you
Yeah,
have a little bit of, but really bring
but
light too in so many
yeah,
aspects.
absolutely. And it's a proper name because, I mean, Rabbi Mo, who's just such a sweet guy, sweet clergyman, and he says, "I'm not a gun guy. It's not me." But then circumstances change, and the danger to his community and to his family forces his hand. Now, the learning that he does, that's also based on my own experience. I was not a gun guy. I didn't grow up around guns. It was not something that I knew about. I also didn't grow up religious, but as an adult, I became a religious Jew, an Orthodox Jew, which is to say a visible Jew. In our community, we wear the black suits, the black hats, keep us, and people know who we are. And the threat level has been rising, steadily over the recent years. We're very aware of it. And Chabad rabbi, the Hasidic rabbi, created an organization called Magen Am, which means Shield of the Nation in Hebrew, that trains and licenses regular guys like me to become volunteers who carry. We're armed. And please God, we should never need such skills. But if we do, we won't be a soft target. And then the firearms training that's in the movie is real. It's funny. It's a very bold name. You might think it, and there's, like I said, there's humor in the movie, but something that you've never seen in a Hollywood movie where people have to learn how to shoot all the time. But what is it? It's a few tin cans on a fence, right? Some music, and 15 seconds later, the guy can shoot. That's not the real world at all. In the real world, it's very difficult to shoot, and under pressure, 100 times harder. And you're only going to be able to do that if you have proper training and muscle memory. And so when the rabbi is learning in the movie over the course of a few scenes at a shooting range, trigger press, sight picture, let the bang surprise you, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Anyone who's ever learned to shoot in the real world will recognize that this is real world training, but it's never been in a movie before. And so we're bringing that, and the firearms community and the Second Amendment community really appreciates it.
Very interesting. So you not being that gun guy, it was intriguing in so many aspects.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Like there's so many things that when you get into the details of it, create fascinating scenes and story points when you're pursuing authenticity, right? So, you've had very stereotypical Jewish characters in movies, whether they're shticky comedies, Larry David, Adam Sandler, and you have dead Jews in the Holocaust. But when you talk about
Yeah.
people of faith, I mean, Hollywood has not a good attitude toward faith and people of faith. And it's always about people leaving their faith or, realizing that they're too smart to have faith in God, things like that. Whereas a life of faith is very intellectual and sophisticated and demanding. Our tradition is 3,000 years old. It's been practiced by really bright people for 3,000 years. And there's so much to say that's interesting and that hasn't been on screen before.
Right. And the things that are on screen before. So, where do you like when you're thinking about putting all these characters together? Where did you come up with these kind of interesting ideas of just the whole storyline and to really to look back, hey, we're going to fight back. We're not going to let
Yeah.
this just go on and have these tragedies. We're going to have somebody who's going to fight back, but yet bring faith to it as well.
Yeah, I mean, so it starts in the real world. Like I said, it started with a tragedy here in California. It started with our organization, which now has hundreds of guys who are involved, who are taking this seriously. This is not limited to the Jewish world at all. You had an attack in a church in Wayne, Michigan, quite recently, and thank God there were armed congregants there who stopped him before he could do more harm. I wish guns were necessary. They're loud, they get dirty. There's a lot of unpleasantness about them. It can be fun also, but the reality is that there are bad people who are intent on doing harm and doing evil, and we have to be prepared for that. We have to live in the real world, and so this opens conversations about that. The movie also plays as a murder mystery, and so it has to be an effective. In that sense, is a very traditional in the tradition of De Palma and Hitchcock, Coppola, the great murder mystery thrillers of the 70s. There's been a kind of crushing sameness to what Hollywood has been putting out, I think, for a long time. These sequels and prequels and reboots and retreads. Even this summer, you're seeing so many of these big
It's crazy.
superhero
There's
movies,
yeah, you're at
and they,
least giving yourself something different to go and see in the theater.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And these huge movies, Hollywood, like they rarely make money on them. They treat the theatrical release as a big ad campaign. And it's challenging, for smaller independent films like us, just to get the screens, just to get the screens. Now we are opening on, thank God, on July 18th, next Friday, July 18th. But we're not in 4,000 theaters or 2,000 theaters. So in the cities where we are opening, people got to come. They got to come week one and support this movie. They're going to enjoy it. They're going to have a great time. And we're in AMC, but AMC looks carefully at the theaters where we're starting in, so that we can spread, so that we can grow. So it is so important that if you care about a movie like this, see our trailer at gunsandmosesmovie.com. I'm sure you're going to find it like that looks like a kick-ass movie with values that I can get behind, and then get behind it by
But
showing
see,
up
but you've
at the
seen these
theater.
faith films, people have done this
Yeah.
countless times. That's what you're hoping, right?
Yes, absolutely. And it's a little different, because when you talk about faith-based films in America, they're Christian films. This is a faith-based film that very much is Judeo-Christian principles and will appeal very much to the Christian and audience of faith, but it's a little different. Right? It's a rabbi in the lead role. We are so fortunate, so blessed to have allies, in this time of danger. People who stand not only with the Jews in America, but with Israel and Jews around the world. And we've never seen such overt anti-Semitism. I mean, in our lifetimes. I certainly was aware because my grandmother carried my mother as an infant through a concentration camp. My grandmother's Hungarian, and my grandfather was murdered in a different camp.
Wow.
So I grew up around the Holocaust and this idea of never again. Now we thought, well, grandma, I understand what happened in
Yeah.
Europe. Nothing like that could happen in America. People in America aren't calling for the murder of Jews,
And they are
and
now.
now they are. And now they are.
So is this a very important opportunity for the first, like you're almost like a first in a way for a Jewish-based film in this way of faith to go into the theaters and really be groundbreaking. What has
Yeah.
been your feedback in the marketing so far? What are your hopes for the 18?
We hope to sell out those screens in the cities where we are, in New York, in Philadelphia, in Boston, several cities in Florida, in Dallas, in Houston. We're not everywhere. We can get to everywhere. Now, the feedback has been tremendous, on X, on Instagram. There are haters, who will spew their hate. But thank God, there's also a flood of love and people who are really interested and intrigued. There just hasn't been a movie like this. I mean, I think so much of what we look for when we go to movies is to be carried away in an experience that's something we haven't seen before. And we will deliver. We will deliver that. You're going to have fun. It's an edge of your seat thriller with
Mhm.
characters and situations you haven't seen before.
How has the Jewish community come out for this in your hope? You said you hope to have a lot of Christians coming to the film, but how's
Yeah,
that?
the Jews are definitely getting behind it. It's been an interesting time. I mean, if you want to talk, a little bit frankly about current events and politics, Jews in America tend to be very liberal and vote on liberal issues, and a lot of them have had an awakening, since October 7th. About how much support there is for the Jewish community and for Israel, on the right side of the aisle. I think there's just a lot of first of all, a lot of definitions are changing. I think so many of us are closer to the middle, whichever side we're on, we're a little bit close to the middle. We all care about freedom. We all care about safety. How much safety are we going to give up to get freedom? How much freedom are we going to give up to get safety? That's what we can argue about. But we have so much more in common, and this is a movie that really speaks to red state America and blue state America. It respects the values of America. There was no reason to put profanity or nudity in the movie, and so we didn't add those elements. They're just not there. They don't need to be there. But what we do have is compelling characters, in a time of danger, pursuing the truth in a mystery.
All right. Best place people can go. Right now, you want them to go. Where should they go?
Gunsandmosesmovie.com.
All right. Well,
Guns and
fantastic.
Moses Movie.com and Fandango. Tickets go on sale July 10th. When are we live?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, you're live.
yeah, thank you. It's tomorrow. They go on sale tomorrow. So you can get tickets at Fandango or AMC, wherever you get your theater tickets. They go on sale tomorrow and it opens July 18th.
Appreciate it. Thanks again, man. Thanks, Sal.
Oh, it's great to be with you.